There's a philosophy so powerful that it can rewire your entire approach to living. And today you'll discover how a Japanese philosopher cracked the code that makes some people thrive, while others merely survive. Have you ever noticed how some people move through life with complete clarity? They make decisions without overthinking. They face challenges without anxiety. They exist with a quiet confidence that seems almost supernatural, while everyone else is trapped in their heads, analyzing, worrying, second-guessing every move. These people simply know what to do. And you know what most people think. They're just naturally confident. They don't have my problems. They're wired differently. But what if I told you the difference isn't in their wiring? It's in their understanding of a single philosophical concept that changes everything. In 1911, a Japanese philosopher named Nishida Kitaro published a book that revolutionized Eastern thought. He discovered something that Western psychology is only now beginning to understand. He found that your suffering doesn't come from the world. It comes from the gap between you and your experience. And he developed a system to close that gap forever. They called it Basho, the logic of place. And once you understand it, you'll never feel separated from life again. But there's a catch. This philosophy will require you to abandon something you've clung to your entire life, the illusion that you are separate from what you experience. Before I show you exactly how this works, subscribe to the channel, like the video below, and comment on what prevents you from being fully present in your life. This really helps the channel reach more people, and I genuinely love reading and interacting with all of you. Now, let's begin. Chapter 1. The Awakening. The story I'm about to tell you happened to a marketing executive named Sarah. 38 years old, successful career, apartment in the city. Everything looked perfect from the outside. But Sarah had a problem that was eating her alive. She couldn't be where she was. When she was at work, she worried about problems at home. When she was home, she stressed about work deadlines. When she was with friends, she was thinking about what she should be doing instead. When she exercised, she was planning her next meeting. Her mind was always somewhere else. Always in the past analyzing mistakes, or in the future preparing for disasters that might never happen. Never here, never now. Never experiencing the moment she was actually in. The exhaustion was crushing. Not physical exhaustion, mental exhaustion. The constant split between where her body was and where her mind was drained every ounce of energy she had. She tried everything. Mindfulness apps that told her to be present. Therapy that helped her understand why she was anxious but not how to stop being anxious. Meditation retreats where she'd feel peaceful for 3 days, then return to her regular life and the peace would evaporate within hours. Nothing worked. Because Sarah was treating a symptom without understanding the disease. She thought her problem was anxiety. Her real problem was much deeper. The breaking point came on a Thursday afternoon. She was sitting in her apartment, theoretically relaxing after a difficult week. The TV was on. She was scrolling her phone. Her laptop was open with work emails. And suddenly she realized she couldn't remember the last time she'd done one thing at a time. She couldn't remember the last time she'd been fully present for anything. Not a conversation, not a meal, not even a shower. Her mind was always fragmented, always divided, always somewhere else. She sat there and thought, I'm living, but I'm not experiencing life. I'm here, but I'm not present. What's the point of being alive if I'm never actually here? That night, she searched how to be present in life and found a philosophy lecture about Nishida Kitaro. The professor said something that stopped her cold. Western thought creates the problem of subject-object dualism. You believe you are a subject experiencing objects. Nishida proved this is the root of all suffering. There is no separation. There is only experience itself. Sarah didn't fully understand, but something in those words reached her. She spent the next 6 hours reading everything she could find about Nishida's philosophy. And what she discovered changed everything. Chapter 2. The principle of Basho. Nishida Kitaro was born in 1870 in a small Japanese village. He wasn't born a philosopher. He was a shy, awkward child who struggled to fit in. While other children played, Nishida would sit by the river and watch the water flow, asking questions no one could answer. Where does the water end and the river begin? When I see the water, am I separate from what I see? When I think about myself, who is doing the thinking? At 24, he had what he called the Great Death. His best friend died. His father died. His infant daughter died, all within 8 months. The grief was so total that his sense of self completely dissolved. And in that dissolution, he saw something. When the I disappeared, suffering disappeared with it. Not because the pain went away, but because there was no separate self to suffer the pain. There was just pain, existing in pure experience. This insight obsessed him. For the next 20 years, he practiced Zen meditation daily and studied Western philosophy intensely, trying to articulate what he'd experienced. In 1911, he published An Inquiry into the Good and introduced the concept that would change Japanese philosophy forever. Basho, usually translated as place or field, but the word means something much deeper. Basho is the pure experience that exists before it gets divided into me, experiencing that. It's consciousness before self-consciousness. It's the field where all experience occurs, before you separate yourself from the experience. Nishida wrote, "At the base of our experience, there is nothing like a subject experiencing an object. There is only pure experience, and the division into subject and object is a later abstraction." Think about it. When you're completely absorbed in music, where are you? When you're lost in a beautiful sunset, who is watching? When you're in flow state working, where does you end and work begin? In those moments, the separation dissolves. There's no you experiencing that. There's just experiencing. That's Basho. That's pure experience. And Nishida proved that this is the natural state. The separation is the illusion. Sarah read this and something clicked. Her anxiety wasn't caused by her problems. It was caused by her standing apart from her problems, analyzing them, judging them, fearing them. The moment she separated herself from her experience, she created suffering. Work stress isn't suffering. I am stressed about work is suffering. The I am creates separation, and separation creates suffering. A Harvard neuroscientist who has been studying consciousness for 22 years explains, the brain's default mode network creates the sense of self through constant self-referential processing. This narrative self exists by distinguishing me from not me. But this distinction is cognitively expensive and creates psychological suffering. Practices that quiet the default mode network reduce suffering by reducing self-other separation. Sarah understood intellectually, but Nishida's philosophy wasn't about intellectual understanding. It was about experiential transformation. Chapter 3. Jikaku, Self-Awareness Awakening. The next morning, Sarah tried to apply Nishida's teaching. She made coffee, and instead of thinking about her day while making it, she tried to just be the act of making coffee. But immediately, her mind split the experience. I am making coffee. Subject. I. Object. Coffee. Action. Making. 3 separate things. She tried to force the separation to disappear. No, there's no I, there's just coffee making. But now she was thinking about trying not to think about herself. The separation had just gotten more complex. Frustrated, she went back to Nishida's writings and found the concept that unlocked everything. Jikaku. Jikaku means self-awareness, but not the way Western psychology uses the term. In Western thought, self-awareness means being conscious of yourself as an object. I am aware of my emotions. I am aware of my thoughts. There's still separation. Nishida's Jikaku means something radical. Awareness becoming aware of itself. Not I am aware, but awareness aware of awareness. No subject, no object. just awareness. He wrote, "True self-awareness is not the self-observing itself, for that creates duality. True self-awareness is experience knowing itself from within." Sarah tried again with her coffee. This time, she didn't try to eliminate the I. She simply noticed, who is aware that I am making coffee? And in that noticing, something shifted. The thought, I am making coffee, was just another experience appearing in awareness. It wasn't the truth of the moment. The truth was awareness, taste of coffee, warmth of cup, morning light, sound of the coffee maker. All of it happening simultaneously in Basho, in the field of experience. No experiencer, just experience experiencing itself. It lasted maybe 5 seconds before her mind reconstructed the separation and she was back to Sarah making coffee. But those 5 seconds showed her something profound. The separation was optional. It was a habit, not a reality. Over the next week, Sarah practiced Jikaku throughout her day, not trying to force presence, but noticing, where is the separation happening? Who is standing apart from experience? Walking to work. I am walking. Awareness of walking. Sensations in legs, breath, pavement, no separate walker. Eating lunch. I am eating. Awareness of eating. Taste, texture, chewing. No separate eater. In a stressful meeting. I am anxious. Awareness of anxiety, tight chest, racing thoughts. No separate anxious person. The practice wasn't eliminating the sense of self. It was seeing that the sense of self is also just another experience appearing in Basho. Not the truth, just another thought. A Princeton University philosopher who has been studying phenomenology for 19 years explains, what Nishida discovered aligns with recent findings in consciousness studies. The self is not a thing. It's a process. When you closely examine immediate experience, you find sensations, perceptions, thoughts, but no actual self that has these experiences. There's just experiencing. By week 2, something had fundamentally shifted in Sarah. She still had problems. Work was still stressful, but the quality of stress had changed. Instead of, I am stressed and this is unbearable, there was just stress, existing as sensation and thought in awareness. No one suffering it, just suffering happening. And when there's no one suffering, suffering loses its grip. Chapter 4. Mu, no Jikaku, the self-awareness of nothingness. But Sarah hit a wall on day 16. She'd been practicing Jikaku, experiencing moments of non-separation, but her ego was fighting back hard. Every time she dissolved into pure experience, her mind would panic and reconstruct the I stronger than before. She felt like she was losing herself, and in a way, she was. That was the point. But it terrified her. She found Nishida's most challenging concept, Mu no Jikaku, the self-awareness of nothingness. This is where his philosophy becomes radical. Nishida taught that Basho, the field of pure experience, is ultimately empty. Not empty like a void, but empty of any fixed self. The deepest truth is that there is no permanent, substantial you. There's just this constantly changing flow of experience with no one at the center of it. He wrote, "To know oneself truly is to know oneself as nothing. The self that can be grasped is not the true self. The true self is the nothing that allows all experience to be." This concept broke Sarah's mind at first. If there's no self, who is having this realization? If I'm nothing, why does it feel like I'm something? But then she had an experience that made it clear. She was running in the park, completely absorbed in the rhythm of her steps, and suddenly she realized there was no Sarah running. There was just running. And the moment she thought, there's no Sarah, that thought was also just appearing in the running. No one was having the realization. The realization was having itself. This is Mu no Jikaku. Awareness aware of its own emptiness. Not, I realize I'm nothing, but nothingness realizing itself. And here's what Sarah discovered. When you realize you're nothing, paradoxically, you become everything. Because when there's no separate self, there's no boundary between you and experience. You are the running. You are the tree you're looking at. You are the person you're talking to. Not metaphorically. Actually. Nishida called this absolute nothingness, or Zettai Mu. The nothing that contains everything. The emptiness that allows all experience to exist. Sarah started testing this in her daily life. In conversations, instead of, "I am listening to this person," she practiced, "Listening is happening in Basho." The separation dissolved. She wasn't listening to someone, she was the listening itself. The intimacy was profound. At work during presentations, instead of, "I am presenting," there was just presenting happening. No performer, no performance, just the act itself. Her anxiety disappeared because there was no one to be anxious. A Stanford neuroscientist who studies the neural correlates of self explains, brain imaging studies show that when subjects report experiences of no self, we see decreased activity in the medial prefrontal cortex and posterior cingulate cortex, the regions associated with self-referential processing. The subjective sense of being a separate self is correlated with specific neural activity. Reduce that activity, and the sense of separation reduces. But Sarah discovered that Mu no Jikaku wasn't just about dissolving the self. It was about what emerged from that dissolution. Chapter 5. Koiteki Chokan, Acting Intuition. 3 weeks into practicing Nishida's philosophy, Sarah faced a massive decision. Her company offered her a promotion, more money, more responsibility, move to another city. Everything she'd worked for. But something felt wrong. The old Sarah would have made a pros and cons list, asked everyone's opinion, analyzed for weeks, and then made a decision she'd second-guess forever. But now, she approached it differently. She sat quietly and let the question rest in Basho. Not, "Should I take this promotion?" but just holding the situation in pure awareness without grasping for an answer. And then something extraordinary happened. Without thinking, without analyzing, an answer arose from the field itself, a clear, immediate knowing. Not a thought, not logic, not emotion. Just knowing. Don't take it. No reason, no justification, just absolute clarity. This is what Nishida called Koiteki Chokan, acting intuition. Not intuition as a hunch or a feeling, but intuition as direct knowing that emerges from Basho itself when the thinking mind gets out of the way. Nishida wrote, "When subject and object are one in Basho, action emerges spontaneously. This is not thinking then acting, this is action that is simultaneously knowing. The deed and the doer are one." Sarah declined the promotion. Her logical mind had no explanation, but her being knew it was right. And a month later, a different opportunity appeared that was perfect for her, an opportunity that never would have come if she'd taken the promotion. She realized what Nishida meant. When you're in Basho, when there's no separation, life guides itself. You don't need to figure everything out. Experience knows what to do. You just need to get out of its way. This wasn't about trusting gut feelings or following impulses. Those still come from the separated self. This was about dissolving so completely into the situation that the right action emerges on its own. Sarah started applying this everywhere. Difficult conversations at work. She stopped preparing what to say and let words emerge from the interaction itself. Creative projects. She stopped forcing ideas and let them arise from Basho. Relationships. She stopped managing how people perceived her and just responded authentically moment by moment. Life became effortless. Not easy. Effortless. Like water flowing downhill. No resistance because there was no separate self resisting. A Yale behavioral scientist who studies decision-making for 16 years found, research shows that complex decisions made through deliberate analysis are often less satisfactory than decisions made through what subjects describe as just knowing. This aligns with theories of embodied cognition. The entire organism processes information holistically before the conscious mind can articulate reasons. But Sarah discovered the most powerful application of Nishida's philosophy wasn't in doing, it was in being. Chapter 6. Zettai Mu no Basho, the place of absolute nothingness. 2 months into her practice, Sarah's mother was diagnosed with cancer. Aggressive, limited treatment options. The news should have destroyed her, and the old Sarah would have been destroyed. She would have fragmented into anxiety, grief, fear, guilt, helplessness. She would have tortured herself with what-ifs and bargaining and desperate hoping. But something different happened. She felt the pain completely. No suppression, no avoidance, no spiritual bypassing. The grief was total. And yet, she wasn't breaking. Because the grief was happening in Basho. The field of absolute nothingness was holding the pain the way space holds a storm. The storm is real, violent, powerful. But space isn't damaged by it. Space allows it to be, exactly as it is. This is what Nishida called Zettai Mu no Basho, the place of absolute nothingness. It's the deepest level of his philosophy. Basho isn't just where experience happens. Basho is what allows experience to happen. It's the groundless ground, the nothing that contains everything. Nishida wrote, "Absolute nothingness is not mere negation. It is the creative nothing from which all things arise and to which all things return. It embraces both being and nothingness. To realize this is to be free." Sarah sat with her mother in the hospital and experienced something impossible to articulate. She was completely present with the pain, and the pain was vast, but she herself was vaster. Not because she was big, but because she was nothing, and nothing can contain everything. The doctors gave her mother 6 months. She lived 14 months. And during those 14 months, Sarah was present for every moment. Not trying to fix, not trying to change, not trying to make it different than it was. Just being with what is, as it is, in Basho. Her siblings, by contrast, were shattered. They couldn't be with their mother because being with her meant facing what they didn't want to face. So they stayed away, made excuses, and lived with guilt. Sarah had no guilt because she held nothing back. When her mother died, Sarah cried for days. But the crying was clean, pure grief with no story attached. No, why did this happen, or it's not fair, or I should have done more. Just grief, moving through Basho like weather moving through sky. An Oxford researcher studying grief processing for 20 years found subjects who report experiences of spacious awareness during grief show better psychological outcomes than those who either suppress or merge with their pain. The ability to hold suffering in a field of awareness without identification seems to allow full emotional processing without psychological damage. 3 months after her mother died, Sarah realized she'd been transformed, not because she'd learned some coping skill, but because she discovered what she actually was. Not Sarah, the person with a life story. Not Sarah, the marketing executive. Not Sarah, the daughter who lost her mother. She was Basho itself, the field of experience. The place where all life happens, and nothing that happens in that place can destroy the place itself. Chapter 7. The Complete Rewiring. 6 months after discovering Nishida's philosophy, Sarah was unrecognizable, not in personality but in presence. People would meet her and say, "There's something different about you. I can't explain it. You're just here." She was here. Completely here. Not split between past and future, not divided between what is and what should be, not fragmented between where her body was and where her mind was. Work stress still happened, but now, when stress appeared in Basho, she experienced it fully and it moved through. No residue, no carrying stress from yesterday into today. Each moment was fresh, complete, then gone. Relationships deepened. Her friends commented that talking to her felt different, like she was actually listening, not just waiting to respond. Because she wasn't. There was no Sarah listening. There was just listening happening. Her creativity exploded. She stopped forcing ideas and started receiving them from Basho itself. Projects that used to take weeks of planning now unfolded naturally, each step revealing the next. Most surprisingly, she became deeply, unshakably content. Not happy in the emotional sense, content in the existential sense. Life was what it was, and that was enough. Problems arose, she addressed them. Pleasures appeared, she enjoyed them. Pain came, she felt it. No grasping, no avoiding, just experiencing life as it unfolded in the field of awareness. Nishida wrote near the end of his life, "To realize Basho is not to attain something special. It is to recognize what you have always been. You are not in experience. Experience is in you. You are the field itself." Sarah understood this now. Not intellectually. Experientially. She was the space where her life happened. And nothing that happened in that space could damage the space. She'd been rewired at the deepest level. Not through effort, not through discipline, through recognition. Recognizing what she'd always been but had forgotten. Chapter 8. The Philosophy in Practice. Here's what most people don't understand about Nishida's philosophy. It's not something you learn. It's something you recognize. And recognition happens through practice. Sarah developed a daily practice based on Nishida's teaching. Every morning she would sit for 20 minutes in what Nishida called pure experience meditation. Not focusing on breath, not emptying the mind, just resting as Basho itself. The instruction was simple. Be the field of awareness rather than something in the field. Don't observe experience. Be experience observing itself. Throughout the day, whenever she noticed separation, she would pause and ask, "Where is the separation? Can I find the line between me and this moment?" In meetings, where does Sarah end and meeting begin? While eating, where does taster end and taste begin? In conversations, where does listener end and sound begin? Every time she looked for the separation, she couldn't find it. And every time she couldn't find it, the separation dissolved and she dropped into Basho. This wasn't about achieving a special state. It was about recognizing the state that's always already here, beneath the habit of separation. Nishida called this practice realization. Not practicing to realize something later, but practice that is itself realization. Every moment of being Basho is being what you are. Sarah also practiced what Nishida called contradictory self-identity, holding opposites simultaneously without resolving them. She was Sarah and not Sarah. She was something and nothing. She was acting and being acted through. The mind wants to collapse contradictions into one thing or the other. Basho holds them both. This is where creativity lives, where wisdom lives, where freedom lives. After 6 months of practice, Sarah barely had to try anymore. The recognition had become natural. She lived from Basho more than she lived from separation. And when separation happened, she noticed it quickly and released back into pure experience. Her entire life had been rewired. Not through changing her circumstances, not through improving herself, but through recognizing what she'd always been, underneath the illusion of separation. Chapter 9. The Invitation. Here's what you need to understand. Nishida's philosophy isn't for people looking for comfort. It's for people ready for truth. The truth is uncomfortable. The truth is that everything you think you are is a construction. Your personality, your story, your identity, all of it is appearing in Basho like clouds appearing in sky. Real, but not solid. Present, but not permanent. Most people spend their entire lives defending a self that doesn't actually exist. And that defense is exhausting. That defense is suffering. Nishida offers you something different. Not a better self, no self. And in that no self, total freedom. But here's the challenge. You can't understand this intellectually. You can only know it experientially. and experience requires practice. The practice is simple. First, every morning sit for 15 minutes. Don't meditate on something, just be the awareness in which everything appears. Be Basho itself. Second, throughout your day, whenever you notice suffering, ask, where is the separation? Who is suffering? Can I find the one who suffers? Look closely. You'll find thoughts, sensations, emotions, but no actual sufferer. Just suffering appearing in Basho. Third, before making decisions, rest in Basho and let the answer emerge. Don't think toward a conclusion. Let knowing arise from the field itself. Fourth, practice contradictory self-identity. You are someone and no one. You are this and not this. Don't resolve the contradiction. Live it. Fifth, when strong emotions arise, don't suppress or express. Just let them exist in the field of awareness. Be the space that holds the emotion, not the one having it. This practice will rewire you at the deepest level, not by changing who you are, but by revealing what you are. You are not the wave. You are the ocean. You are not the experience. You are the field in which all experience occurs. An MIT consciousness researcher who has studied contemplative practices for 18 years found subjects who practice non-dual awareness report fundamental shifts in their relationship to experience. They describe living from a place of spacious presence rather than contracted self-concern. These shifts correlate with measurable changes in brain structure and function, particularly in networks related to self-referential processing. Nishida Kitaro died in 1945 at age 75. His final words were, "The truth is simple. Be nothing. Contain everything." A lifetime of philosophy reduced to 8 words. Because ultimately, that's what all his concepts point to. Basho, Jikaku, Mu. All of it pointing to one truth. You are the field of awareness itself, and nothing that appears in that field is what you are. Sarah discovered this, not because she's special, because she was willing to look, willing to question, willing to dissolve. The question is, are you? Your entire life can be rewired. Not someday. Now. Not through years of effort, through recognition, recognizing what you've always been but forgot. The separation is a habit. Habits can be broken. And when this habit breaks, your whole world changes. If this video changed your perspective on consciousness and living, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. And tell me in the comments, what keeps you from being fully present in your life? Write it publicly, because naming the separation is the first step to dissolving it. Remember, you are not in your life. Your life is in you. You are Basho, the field itself. And when you recognize this, everything changes. Thank you for watching. If you've made it this far, you're ready for this truth. Now go practice. Now go recognize. Now go be what you've always been. The rewiring begins now.